all things asexual. I share my own asexual life journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that great subscribe button right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon so you get notified of every time I go live like now, I post a new video. So in a moment, we're going to be discussing Asexual Guide to Sex book that is still coming out, that I'm still working on. And I want to talk to you about relationship advice in it and about the pattern changing course I did. But if you're new to this channel, you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, and this was my first book I ever published for asexuals in 2017 called Asexual Perspectives. And this is a book where I interviewed 46 other asexuals and across the spectrum, across the globe, to get all their perspectives on love, life, and sex. That's a really great introduction to asexuality. So in my Asexual Guide to Sex book, which I'm currently still working on, I've been working on it since June 2019. I'm currently on the chapter about how to spot an abuser. So in a lot of my videos on this channel I've done in the past of how to spot narcissists, how to spot abusers, and I did a pattern changing course in 2013. And this was designed for me to spot signs of abusive people in order to ensure I don't get into a relationship again with an abusive guy. Or if I do, I can recognize the signs quickly and get out of it. Now, originally, the Asexual Guide to Sex was mostly going to be focused on sex, how to have sex physically, emotionally, mentally, which is still in the book, and getting lots of different, like getting other people's opinions and advice on, what to do physically with your arms and legs, all that type of stuff. But the book has grown so much more. I mean, in part of it, there's another set of questions that I gave on top of the first set to some asexuals, and some asexuals answer the second lot of questions. So there's kind of like split into different parts from the book. And I was mostly going to write about the contraception type of part in the book, because obviously Asexual Guide to Sex is important. People are using contraception, but the book has grown so much more now. It's not just about the physical safety aspects. I'm doing a lot more about all the other safety aspects of the book. And one of the things I'm covering, well, there's a lot of stuff I'm covering that I wasn't originally going to cover in the book, because the book is already quite big and it's just getting bigger. But I think it's vital that if you are preparing emotionally for sex, which is the chapter I'm talking about at the moment, that you also understand signs of abusers, because abusers usually prey on people who are emotional and sympathetic and empathetic the most, because they see these as weaknesses, right? And so part of emotionally preparing for sex is working out if the person you're with is actually healthy for you and not toxic as you think they might be, right? So I'm going into the book about how to spot signs of an abuser, and I'm using some of this course I did years ago called the Pattern Changing Course with Safe Stop Abuse for Everyone. I'm using some of the things I learned in there in this book. Now, one of the things that I came across in my file of information was this, and it's all about change, right? About breaking cycles and changing. And basically, if someone wants to make a change in their life, they will literally pre-contemplate the change. I don't know if you can see that. They will pre-contemplate the change. Then they will contemplate it. Then they will contemplate it. Okay, and then they will actually prepare to change. Then they will take the action to change, and then they have to maintain it. And if they don't maintain it, you go into a relapse, and then you go back to like the pre-contemplation stage. Well, you go back to the contemplation stage. So this is a cycle of change. So whenever you're trying to change anything in your life, make any change, this is a cycle. And you'll notice someone at the top has put, this is from that course I did, has put it could take 10 minutes to change or 10 years. So everyone's different, but they usually say in order to form a new habit in your life, you need about 90 days at least of actually doing that habit on a daily basis to even for it to sink into your brain as a habit. But one of the most important things that people forget is that you have to take the action. You can't just think about the change. You have to truly make it happen, right? You have to learn to do things differently, things that might not be easy, things that might be really difficult. Um, but also people don't understand the maintenance thing. If you do not maintain a new change, it will just go back to your bad habits, to things you used to do before, maybe self-destruction or destroying some some healthy stuff you have in your life because you've gone back to unhealthy patterns. So it's really important that you understand this cycle, and that if you are making changes in your life, and growing as a person and becoming healthier in a relationship to be with, or you're actually noticing patterns of abuse in someone else and you need to break the cycle, you have to realize that you've got to change and change what you're doing in that relationship. And often if it's abuse, you're going to have to leave it eventually, or rather sooner than later, to be honest. The sooner you get the heck out there, the sooner you can heal and find a much better person, will be single, right? But this is the same with anything. It's like I had depression in 2012 and I freed myself for 8 years. And then before Christmas 2020, I ended up being really bad with my mind again, like the worst I've ever had it. And so I did have a relapse. And it was really difficult for me because I never ever thought I'd be in that situation ever again. And it was like, it was a really big trauma for me that happened that set it off. But even so, I was in shock and I was feeling really trapped with no way out because I was really worried about money and my rent and everything like that. And I was in a really difficult position. And so it took me ages to get out of the position I was in, and I felt so trapped and I just lost my sense of identity and everything. So, you can have a relapse of any kind of change in your life, even if you don't expect it. That was completely unexpected. Um, so we have to understand that everything happens for a reason, and if we do have a relapse, we have to be gentle to ourselves whilst understanding what's gone on, and maintenance is essential. So if you've gone from depression to a positive mental attitude, you have to literally exercise that positive mental attitude regularly on a daily basis and try to be thinking positive as much as possible, because if not, then you just relapse. It's like when you go to the gym. If you go to the gym, I'm not saying you have to, but if you do and you work a regular routine and then all of a sudden you get out that routine and then you just stop for a few weeks, you'll notice that obviously your muscles might start aching, whereas before you would usually go to the gym, your muscles start aching more. You're feeling more breathless or less fit, or you're just feeling groggy or not yourself because you got into a habit of going to the gym, then you got out of it again. Well, it's like with anything in life, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be the gym. I'm just giving you that as an example. Anything like with the depression that I said, you have to be able to maintain it. You have to be able to do a positive things on a daily basis. I have something called a happy list, which is basically at least 10 things, and I try and do 3 things of those a day if I can. But one of the things is taking a hot shower, so I'm back to having more showers because my ankle is getting stronger. I'm still taking crutch in the shower, but my ankle's getting stronger. So, it's things like that that just make a difference to my life. It's me personally, I like a hot shower. It's relaxing. I'm allowed to creatively think and stuff like that. So it's just really good for me. Eating delicious foods as well makes me feel better. It regulates my emotions more. These type of things, right? And working on my Asexual Guide to Sex book, which I've been doing, it just makes me, like a lot happier, because that's what I'm meant to be doing with my life. It's my life purpose, writing books that change lives, and especially for asexuals. So this Asexual Guide to Sex, I want to give you an update because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been like, what, 2 years, 9 months, something like that, since I first started writing it. And I wanted to let you know that I'm still working on it, and I'm just still adding more content. I'm coming towards the last chapters now. But the book has become so much bigger and better than I ever thought, because there's a lot of relationship advice, and I think it's essential if you are going to think about having sex. My Asexual Guide to Sex book is not a book telling asexuals to have sex. I want to make that perfectly clear. It's not a book telling asexuals to have sex. It's for those asexuals that are already contemplating having sex. They don't know what the hell they're doing, or they've already tried it and they're like really lost with it. And there are asexuals like that, because I've seen them in groups and forums, and someone came in my inbox and asked me a long time ago, what would I do if I wanted to try that? So please do not think that I'm saying asexuals should have sex. I don't think you should if you don't want it. I haven't had sex for over 10 years. I'm quite happy, even though I've had it in the past. I don't want that ever again. I'm cheering. I'm really ecstatic that I haven't had sex for 10 years. I'm really, really happy about it, you know? So even though I'm writing the Asexual Guide to Sex book, I'm talking about my past experiences in it, you know, and some other asexuals are, and some asexuals are currently still having sex in the book, right? The ones that they're not literally having sex in the book, but talking about having sex in the book, you know? So, but my point is that the book is developed into a relationships book as well as talking about sex, because in order to have healthy sex, if you're going to have it, you need to really be in a serious, committed, healthy relationship to begin with, or at least in a healthy agreement with someone, and have a healthy person to do it with, right? And so it's essential that you're able to spot signs of abuse. So I'm at a moment, you know, I've got lots of stuff. This is like loads of literature I've got for my past pattern changing course. I'm going to be putting some of this in the book, you know, like 21 warning signs of an abusive person. I'll probably be using some of these, not necessarily put all of them in there, but you know, there's stuff to do with equality. I'm not going to be able to put all this in the book, because really I'll probably have to do a separate book on abuse at some point, you know, because it's kind of a really in-depth topic, and I'm not going to take over, because I did a 14-week course, which is obviously with homework, so I can't put all that in the Asexual Guide to Sex book. It would be ridiculous, because it would be more of a book all about abuse, and that's not the point of the book. But the point is to give us, you know, give the basics of the signs of what an abuser would look like, in order for you to be able to kind of have a checklist in your mind of like, okay, is the person I'm with, are they like any of these things? If they're like multiple of them most of the time, then obviously that's a warning sign that they really are probably abusive, and you need to get out of that relationship and say no to having sex with them, even if you love them, right? So I'm not going to be going into all of these types of things, because that would be beyond the scope of that book. But I think, you know, just giving a general overview of things to look for, you know, with people who like are abusers, I think it's imperative, because the last thing we want to do is get into a relationship, have sex with someone, and end up being abused by them, and then we find it really difficult because we're emotionally bonded to them. Sex does make you a lot more emotionally bonded to a person. I'm talking about this in the book. This is part of what I was writing today, well, earlier, yesterday, I should say, now, because I've gone into the next day. You know, because sex does emotionally bond you more to a person. It usually makes you feel more affection for them, makes you feel more attached to them. And so if you are thinking about doing that, you know, and you already feel strong emotions for this person, you need to make sure they're as healthy as possible for you to be in a relationship with and be safe to be having sex with. Because the last thing you want to do is get into a position where your safety is at risk and end up with a person who's abusive, right? You don't want that. And so I feel it's my duty to give you the basics of what an abuser would look like. But abusers are very, very, very clever people. And, you know, I can't guarantee that you're not going to get abused. Because sadly, there's a lot of abusers out there, and a lot of them are very clever and very secretive. And when you love someone, you don't want to believe your guy or woman or whatever gender's an abuser. You don't, because you love them and you want to always see the best in them a lot of the time, you know, and you probably do see the best in them. If you're a kind-hearted and good person yourself, you usually automatically will see kind of good even within the bad, because it's who you are. But you have to come to a point where you understand that this person's no good for you. However much you may love or care about them, they're just no good, and you've got to end things. And you don't want to be getting really seriously intimate with someone. Even kissing, like kissing and sex, they both release a hormone called oxytocin, and this makes you, you know, have more affection and more feelings for the person. And so usually, I'm not saying, you know, it happens in every scenario, because there are people that have one night stands, people that just have sex and they don't have any feelings or emotions like that. They just want the sex and they don't get attached. So it depends on the person, the people, how they're feeling, how long they've known each other as well, and some other things. But in general, you know, it does bond them more. And so, like this here is if you want to change the pattern that like patterns of you personally getting into abuse if you've been in abusive relationships in the past. But this is also a template for if, like there's an actual abuser and they're trying to change. And most abusers do not change because they do not think of themselves as abusers. They don't recognize that within themselves. And so, but this is a template for any change, and you have to recognize that they must do the maintenance, right? So even as a person who's in a relationship with someone, you have to realize, like, am I with the right person for me? Are they going to be good long term for me? They should be making you happier. If you're in a relationship where you're more upset than happy, that's not the right person for you to be in a relationship with, even though you might really love them. And so I think it's important, to recognize this and to recognize patterns of abuse, So I'm going to go through a few of the warning signs because I just think it's important while I'm on the channel now, So 21 warning signs of abusive person. I'm going to be giving a few of these out. So if someone's ever been cruel to animals or children, then it's a sign they're going to be abusive to you. If they've ever hit a boyfriend or girlfriend in the past, that's a sign they're going to be abusive to you. If they've ever threatened violence, even if it wasn't a serious threat, then that is a sign of abuse. Calls partner names, puts him/her down, or curses at him/her. This is really important one, right? So no person should be calling someone's name. They shouldn't be calling you names, not even in jest. If they start going, oh, I'm only messing with you, I'm only joking, or you're so sensitive, this is an abuser, right? People who are respectful do not speak to people like this. People who call people names and put people down, that's very immature and it's very disrespectful. And it means they don't value you as a person, they don't value your worth. They just basically they're basically belittling you and putting you down and they're abusing you. It's like a form of verbal abuse if they're calling you names. And anyone who tells you otherwise is ridiculous. So some people go, oh, well, my boyfriend's usually calling me that. He says it's just a bit of fun, but it's not fun, is it? Who finds being made fun of fun? Who finds someone taking the mickey out of you fun? It's not fun. It's disgusting, and the reason they do that is they say about you being oversensitive or sensitive or stuff like this, and that in itself is abuse because it's basically invalidating your feelings and disrespecting you and saying it's all right if I disrespect you because I'm going to wrap it up in the fact that you're oversensitive. If someone says you're oversensitive, that's a form of abuse as well, Oh, you're so sensitive, you're oversensitive, because they want to get away with their bad behavior of speaking to you in a horrible way, right? It's just disgusting. And so, anyone who puts you down, who calls you names, is not a good person. And, if that's the way they are, then, they're not really going to end up having a healthy relationship with anyone because they're not good for you. They're not healthy, right? It's extremely moody and switches quickly from being very nice to exploding in anger. My ex was really bad like that. I've had more than one ex like that, but yeah, so, would be my last long-term ex. It was really bad. 1 minute it could be really nice, the next minute it would just be like, yeah, really angry, and you never knew what to expect in the end. But more often than not, he was horrible to me behind closed doors, but nice to other people. That's another thing. If they are like a chameleon and they change to whoever's around them, their personality and the way they behave, then that's another sign they're an abuser because they're not being their true self, true identity. So you've got to look out for some of this stuff. If a male believes women are inferior to men and should obey them, that is a really big warning sign. Unfortunately, because I like foreign guys, there are quite a few foreign guys I've come across where they just have male entitlement, where they think the woman's beneath them and they can speak to the woman how they want to, and it's disgusting. They're very, very controlling, these types of guys. I'm saying foreign because I'm mostly interested in foreign, but my last long-term ex was British and he was very abusive and controlling as well. So it doesn't have to be foreign guys at all, you know. So but you know, it's in the sense that believing a women are inferior to men, sometimes it can come from guys' religion or, you know, background, and they can think that, you know, a woman is subservient to the guy and she should do what she's told. And this type of attitude is very outdated, and it's also abusive because, you know, like, it's controlling behavior. Um, and, you know, if they're intimidating, so for example, threatening body language, punching walls, or breaking objects. My ex used to punch walls. So yeah, it's not good. Um, Holds partner against his or her will to keep him from walking away or leaving the room. I've had that done to me before, really badly. So yeah, it's not good. There are a lot of oh yeah, comes on very strong, is extremely charming and an over smooth talker. Yeah, exactly. Not being genuine, just telling a person what they think that you want to hear, and they chop and change what they say to your own words, you know, and your own actions. So they're very much just watching what you say and doing, copying you. Um, yeah, there's loads of warning signs of abuse, you know, and there's a lot of emotional manipulation. So I'm quite aware of what guys do or try to do to me, you know, and they think I don't know, but I know. You know, and I also can observe their behavior. So there's one person I know, and he will change the behavior of who he's talking to. So if he's talking to an aromantic asexual, for example, someone who lacks romantic attraction, then he won't say anything romantic to them. But if it's like a woman, he's a bloke, if it's a woman and she says she's a romantic asexual, then he'll change his wording and start putting kisses and stuff like that on there. That is a real creep that does that. And it's a guy who's being manipulative because he's trying to play on the emotions of the asexual person. Because obviously, if an asexual person's romantic, he's trying to pull their more romantic heartstrings and get sympathy from them so that they do what he wants them to do. Controlling behavior. And if the person's watching this, they know who they are. But yes, so it's not good. And they think I don't know that, but I've seen messages of text that have proof of that. So yeah. So yeah, so yeah, gets very serious with boyfriends slash girlfriends very quickly, saying I love you very early in the relationship, wanting to move in together or get engaged only after a few months, or presume pressurizing partner for a serious commitment. Yeah, this can be very difficult. I mean, I do know people that do get together quickly and do end up staying in a relationship. My friend, best female friend, she got with her guy and moved in with him within 3 months. I think she got with him, I think it was actually within 6 weeks she moved in with him. And she's still with him 3 years later, and they've just moved to Turkey together. So just because someone does that doesn't necessarily mean to say they're a bad person. But yeah, but moving, you know, usually moving in together, getting engaged really quickly, you know, saying I want marriage straight away is just a really big no-no. I mean, I get a load of guys in my inbox that don't even talk to me and they go, hey, I want to marry you. I've actually had that. The first text they sent to me, I want to marry you. It's like, why don't you just tell me you want a visa? It'd be a lot easier and more honest, you know what I mean? It's like, it's just rubbish. But there you go, you know? Attempt to control what partner wears, who she sees or doesn't see. Oh, is abusive towards other people, especially mother or sisters if he is male. Yeah, so blames others for one's own misbehavior or failures. So yeah, the person will never ever take responsibility. Usually they just see everyone else as a problem, never themselves. And yeah, and if they're abusive towards other people, it's a sure sign that they're going to be abusive to you, you know? So some of this stuff I'm going to be putting in the Asexual Guide to Sex book, because I think it's very, very important that people understand this, because What can seem like love sometimes is actually just not. It's a cover up, you know. Um, so but they do say in the course, you know, that there might be, no one's perfect, and so occasionally people might display some of these things as a one-off. But if it's anything like violence, do you know what I mean? Usually it's a really not a good sign. It's a very abusive sign. So, I've got literally, because I'm preparing for my Asexual Guide to Sex book, I've literally got the pattern changing course on my bed. I'm gonna flip you around so you can see like this stuff. This is like loads of the stuff I did of the course years ago. I've got tons of all this. Like I said, I'm not going to put all this in the book, but I just wanted to show you that I have actually got a lot of information about this type of stuff. So I did learn a lot about it, you know. So I just wanted to let you know that what I'm doing with the Asexual Guide to Sex book, and the fact that, it is coming along. I am doing it. I am working on it. But I wanted to add a lot more stuff about relationships, because I think it's imperative that if you are going to risk your safety, as it were, by doing something intimate like that, then you need to have a healthy relationship to begin with, to be able to give yourself the best possible chance of having a good outcome in that situation. You know, and it's difficult, no one's perfect. I've still got difficulties, obviously, because I was in abusive relationships in the past. I'm still continually trying to make sure those patterns stay broken, as in that I don't go back to an abuser, or that I can spot abusers and leave them. So I'm continually trying to do this cycle with the maintenance thing, maintain the good patterns, like as in stay away from abusers, like if you spot them, run a mile, and don't go back and all that lot. So yeah, it's really difficult sometimes. It's not easy if you actually really are fond of someone. And because I have been in a lot of abusive relationships and untrusting relationships, that has a deep effect on me, that I'm still trying to heal and, like improve myself, make myself more secure in myself and my own life, for example. And like have healthier people in my life to be friends with, and people who value my worth and stuff like that, kind of like get more good friends, keep the good friends I've got and the best friends I've got, and develop healthy relationships and friendships more with people. Um, because I think that's what's really, really important for me as part of the healing process. It does make you distrust people when you've been in abusive relationships, and unfortunately that is not good for a future relationship, and the more you have abusive relationships, or guys who lie and are untrustworthy coming in, or whatever gender coming into your realm, the harder it makes it for you to trust someone in the future. So it's kind of like self-perpetuating cycle in that respect as well. So I really want to develop more good friendships with people. I did mention there's a guy in my city who's a foreign guy who's really nice, who was messaging and then decided to retract it and change my mind. But I still keep thinking about messaging him, because he seems like a really healthy guy, and I could do with some really healthy guy friends in my life, to be honest with you. So I still am contemplating doing that again, and keeping it sent, and friend requesting the person. I still don't know yet, because I do have some aesthetic attraction for that guy, but I just think he would be nice to be friends with. So I don't know. But you've always got to be careful whenever you enter even friendships with someone that you might be having some attraction for, because obviously you're like, got to ask yourself why you wanting to be friends with that person, what you're hoping to achieve, and all a lot. So it can be a good thing or a bad thing, really, depending on which angle you take. But I do think it's good as part of a healing process and becoming more secure within yourself. You can get more secure people around you as well, and to become more secure in yourself, sometimes you need to be able to experience what secure friendships are like, so that you understand what healthy looks like. Which is why I'm glad I've got the best friends I've got. All the best friends I've got, I say I have a really healthy relationship, which is friendship relationship, not romantic relationship, with all of them. Because we're all like boundary driven, assertive, expressing our needs, expressing our feelings and emotions, saying how life is for us at the moment, and taking that into account, so if someone's not feeling up to something like talking, then they'll say, oh, I'm just having time by myself, um or needing to take time out, or I can't do this at the moment, or I'm doing this at the moment, you know what I mean? And I'm, like sometimes I just say I'm offline for a while because I need to get my book done and stuff like this, so it's all kind of really healthy. And I'm glad I've got that, because I've got that as kind of a yardstick to learn from. I still haven't come across a guy for a healthy romantic relationship with me yet. But I think if I have more healthy friendships with guys in particular, I think it would help me, because like you kind of like get diminished, um like your trust gets so diminished sometimes. And if you see a lot of guys that aren't good and that lie and that are dishonest and they're not healthy, and you know overall, if you keep having guys, or it can be whatever gender, I'm just using guys as an example because that's what's in my life. If I keep having like these guys that aren't, in a romantic sense, that aren't very good for me and that aren't healthy or right for me, I really could do with some much more healthy guys could kind of like balance that out, to prove to me in my mind, so it helps me to trust a future guy, that there are guys out there who are healthy guys, fully capable of serious committed relationship without having affairs and going off with someone else, and without being flirtatious with loads of women. Doesn't mean to say I haven't got women friends, but they're good with their women friends. They're boundary driven, they're friends with them, they're not doing stuff they shouldn't be with them, in terms of flirting and all that lot, and they really are like, very settled and sure about themselves. That's why I'd like to be friends with some of those type of guys, because I think it'd be really good, because the more you can see secure people who are secure in themselves, secure in relationships with others, and secure in how they relate to others, it just helps you to see what secure looks like more, and the potential of some guys, and how to find more trustworthy guys. Because I think, my experience of having guys that are like not trustworthy in relationships, and it just happens in dating scenarios, it's happening all over again and again and again in different ways, is not good for me, because it perpetuates my anxiety. And anxiety isn't good to have in a relationship all the time, or potential relationship. It can be quite disastrous. And for the person on the receiving end, if they're, if your partner's always anxious, it's not good for them, but it's also not good for the anxiety induced person, because no one wants to be filled with anxiety and have anxiety inducement. Like, I need to be with a guy who I don't feel anxious around, who makes me feel really happy as much as possible, and who I can just relax and be myself with, like a best friend. And you know I'm still finding guys are not completely honest. And there's a lot of women that aren't honest, though, don't get me wrong. I know like the women that I've known, excuse me, I've got to put my ankle out because it's still healing. The women I have known, I'm going to move the phone a bit, you'll see my big fingers in the way. The women, some of the women that I've known, oops, some of the women that I've known, they're not very honest as well. They in terms of relationships, they have affairs. And like most of the women I know have, like, even friends that people in my past that I consider really nice women, to like kind of kind-hearted and stuff like that. Some of them is just like cheated. They've been with a guy who's married or in a relationship. Personally, I don't agree with that. I just think it's really bad. um Personally, that's my personal opinion. Some people might disagree. But I wouldn't like to be cheated on, so I can't, say I agree with that. I mean, I've still had friends with women in the past, been friends with women in the past who've done that, and I've still been friends with them, but that's been really difficult for me. So I think I would like to be around more women who are actually like trustworthy in that way as well, because I think, it just makes me distrust women a lot more. A lot of the time I just don't trust women for that reason, a lot of the time, because it's like, how can you trust a woman around your guy, if you have a guy, when they're behaving like that? And these are women that you honestly would not believe would ever cheat, or or be with, married man, or be with a guy who's in a relationship with someone else. They literally, these women look like they're sweet and innocent, butter wouldn't melt in their mouth. And some of these women are people I've known for not a long time, and others are ones I've known for years. Some of them are out of my life now for good, and a couple of them don't do that anymore. But I just think it's a shame, because it's just like, does everyone just cheat? That's why I'm glad I hate sex, really, because I'm like, it like they say, there's this old saying, isn't there, that money is the root of all evil, but sometimes I'm thinking sex is the root of all evil. If you're going to have affairs, it's cheating. It's disgusting. I hate it. I just really despise cheating. And it's like, it's hard enough as it is to trust people in the world without having that, you know. But when I know that, because of the women I know, that you would never think they would be like that, it makes it really difficult, because you never know who to trust. So I think, like, for me personally, in order to have a healthy relationship with the guy in the future, romantic relationship, I would really need to be around people who are more healthy, women who don't go doing that type of thing, and guys who are not up for that. They would literally push a woman away if she even tried it, and be like, what are you doing? And no, and because that's how good guys should be. They should be like, it's my body, my space, don't get in it. I'm not interested in you for that reason, if they're not, so I think it's very important that if you have been in abusive relationships, and you've been in situations that have made you insecure, I think, like, for me personally, I've got work still to do on myself to help make me feel more secure. A lot of the time, obviously, you've got to do that yourself, make yourself feel secure, but it does help if you're around people in environments where they are a secure person with themselves. And the more you're around these type of people that you aspire to be like more, and have the type of relationship they're having, it's going to be better for you. Because if you've not been, as if you're not securely attached person, so I have anxiety, and I feel insecure in relationships a lot of the time, because I don't trust the people, but it's with good reason. Then I need to be able to find guys and people that are trustworthy and secure, so that I know what secure looks like more. I know that with friendships now, and that does highlight when people are no good for me in relationships, because if a guy puts me down, stuff like that, I'm thinking my best friends don't do that. If a guy's like, oh, I haven't got much time for you, then I'm thinking my best friends aren't like that. And they're my friends. They're not in a relationship with me. So, you know what I mean? I just think that my standards are a lot more higher now, because I have good quality friendships. But I think in terms of a romantic relationship, there's still a lot of work that can be done for me to find kind of the more secure spot in life. Um, a lot of the time, I just think it's easier just to be on my own, because I can trust myself and I don't have to worry then. And but it's not actually solving the problem. As in, if I do want a relationship in the future, I have to be able to have at least one guy I trust in the world for that. And so, like, I don't want to avoid the situation and think it's going to go away, that problem, because it won't. I want to deal with it head on and find people who are a lot more secure, and who don't do that type of thing. So I think I still more work to do on myself. I think everything in life is a work in progress, including yourself, and you should always be looking to develop and grow yourself into a better person. Career wise, I've still got a lot of stuff to do. I've got, like, kind of this year and the next 5 years kind of planned out in my mind, and some on paper as well. Especially in this year and next year, what I want to do. Particularly this year, even more so. So when the Asexual Guide to Sex comes out, book comes out, I'm going to be promoting that for like 3 to 5 months. That's going to be very, very hardcore doing that, but it's going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to the book coming out. I can't wait, really. I'm really excited. But I still got more to add at the moment. And I've got formatting stuff to sort out. The formatting takes ages. Like, you think just the writing of the book and editing takes a long time. The formatting takes ages as well, because you've got to go all over the line spacing and everything. It's like, that's another extra layer on top. But yeah, but I'm really excited for the book. I'm glad that I am including some of the stuff that I learned in the pattern chain course, going to include some of that in the book. I think it's imperative that people get into healthy relationships to start off with before they even attempt to have sex, if it's something they're interested in trying out. And yeah, I just really wanted to give you an update on the book and tell you that it's more of a relationship book than just about how to have sex now, you know, if you're asexual, but obviously apply to people who are not asexual as well. So yeah, I wanted to give you an update. I know that I know I've been moving the phone around tonight more than I usually would. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you found some use out of what I've been saying about the different patterns, you know, some of the warning signs of abuse, you know, and I'll be putting some of this content that you've heard tonight and other stuff to the book. So I'm really looking forward to it coming out. I'm really looking forward to helping you in your asexual life journey. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you got any value out of it whatsoever, if you liked anything about it. And I'll see you on the next video live stream. Thank you for watching. I know there's been people watching tonight. I love you lots, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.